In Activity 3, Germinating Seeds, students closely observe the germination of pea seeds. Students first plant pea seeds in germinator bags, then identify and label parts of a seed, and finally discuss the functions of emerging roots, stems, and leaves. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 3, Parts A and B, a reclosable plastic bag, a magnifier, pea seeds, masking tape, and water sprinklers. You will also need to provide a 0.5 liter container, paper towels, a stapler, thumbtacks, and tap water. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 3, Parts A and B for each student. Soak the pea seeds overnight in a 0.5 liter container of lukewarm water and prepare a germinator bag for each team of 2. Fold a paper towel and slide it into a reclosable plastic bag so that the entire bag is lined with paper toweling. Then put a row of staples along the bag about 4 centimeters from the bottom. Fill the water sprinklers with water. To begin Session 1, inform students that in this activity they will plant seeds in clear plastic bags so they can see the seeds develop. Give each team of 2 a germinator bag and 5 pea seeds. Then demonstrate how to place a row of pea seeds on top of the folded paper towel along the row of staples near the bottom of the bag. Give teams time to place the seeds, then distribute the water sprinklers and instruct students to add water to their bags. After the paper towels are saturated, instruct students to add about 1 centimeter more water to the bottom of the bag to form a new puddle. Students should maintain the line of water in the bottom of the bag at about 1 centimeter throughout all sessions of this activity. Instruct students to seal the bags shut. This will prevent too much water from evaporating. Teams should use a strip of masking tape to label their bags. Then hang the bags on a bulletin board or wall. Then give each team of 2 a magnifier and 2 seeds and have students pry 1 seed apart very gently with their fingertips. Tell them to observe the open seed with the magnifier and identify as many different parts as they can. Ask students, what parts did you observe? Students should identify the seed coat, seed halves, and tiny plant. Explain that the seed coat is the outer covering of the seed and that the seed halves are the 2 large parts of the seed. Point out that the tiny plant is located between the 2 seed halves. Then instruct students to open their second seed and identify each of these 3 parts again. Give each student a copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part A, and tell students to label the drawing of the seed on the activity sheet. Then collect all sheets for use during Session 4. Encourage students to observe the seeds in their germinator bags using a magnifier. Then give each student a copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, and have them record their first observation. To conclude Session 1, students should discard the seeds they dissected and return the magnifiers to the kit. Collect each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, for use in Session 2. To prepare for Session 2, each team of 2 will need a magnifier, and each student will need his or her copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B. To begin Session 2, redistribute the magnifiers when the root begins to emerge from between the seed halves. Ask students, what do you see coming out of the seed? What does it look like? Students may describe the emerging root as being white and smooth. Point out the root that is coming out of the seed. Ask, what do you think a root does for a plant? Students may know that the root takes in water for the plant and holds it in place in the soil. To conclude Session 2, redistribute each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B. Have students make another observation of their germinator bags, noting any changes on their activity sheets. Collect each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, for use in Session 3, and return the magnifiers to the kit. To prepare for Session 3, each team of 2 will need a magnifier, and each student will need his or her copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B. To begin Session 3, point out the green structure emerging from the seed. If students cannot identify the structure, explain that what they now see coming out of the seed is the stem. Ask students, what do you think the stem does for a plant? Accept all reasonable answers. Then explain that the stem is the part of the plant that grows upright and supports the leaves, flowers, and fruit. Students should observe that the seed coat is splitting apart. Explain that this will allow the roots and stem to grow. Direct students' attention to the roots and ask, what changes have you observed in the roots? Students should notice that the roots are growing fuzzy and that branches are forming within the root structure. Then ask, how might those branches help the tiny plant grow and be strong? Point out that the branches help the roots take in more water and also help the plant stay in place by reaching out and grasping the soil more firmly. Next, redistribute each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, and give a magnifier to each team. Instruct students to make another observation of their germinator bags, noting any changes on their activity sheets. To conclude Session 3, collect each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, for use in Session 4. Return the magnifiers to the kit. To begin Session 4, each team of 2 will need a magnifier, and each student will need his or her copy of Activity Sheet 3, Parts A and B. To begin Session 4, point out the plant's leaves as they begin to appear and expand. Ask students, what do you think leaves do for a plant? Students may know that leaves absorb air and sunlight, which starts the food-making process inside the plant. Next, redistribute each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part B, and give a magnifier to each team of 2. Instruct students to make another observation of their germinator bags. Help students understand that as they observe the root and stem grow out of the seed, they are witnessing a seed sprout or germinate. Ask students, what do we call the young plant that sprouts from a seed? If necessary, review the term seedling, which was introduced in Activity 2. Then redistribute each student's copy of Activity Sheet 3, Part A, and instruct students to look at their labeled diagrams of a seed and think about the function of the parts of a seed. Students should recognize that the plant inside their seeds has sprouted and begun to grow into a seedling. Ask students, what do you think is the function of the 2 halves of the seed? Students may be able to guess that they provide food for the tiny plant until it is big enough to make its own food. Then ask, what do you think is the function of the seed coat? Guide students to understand that the seed coat protects the tiny plant inside the seed until it sprouts. Finally, inform the class that in the next activity, Meet the Fruit Fly, they will begin to observe the life cycle of an animal, the fruit fly. To conclude Session 4, invite students to take their germinator bags home. Otherwise, discard them. Return the magnifiers to the kit and return the water sprinklers to their storage area by the pea plants. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.